So we are very glad to have Jay Nitai Prabhu with us, and he is ready, I think, for the lecture, and we are glad to hear from him.
Haribol, yes, I'm ready. I'm happy to be with you. And yeah, we start with some kirtan, right? Is it normally? Okay, I shortly sing Jai Radha Madhava, and then we can continue with the Bhagavad-gita. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Asodanandana Rajajanarandana Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Brajajanarandana Yasodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jai Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Sira Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Sira Prabhupada Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Okay, thank you very much for inviting me for this lecture today. Actually, I'm visiting my parents, and they are also online. First time they hear the Bhagavad-gita lecture. Unfortunately from me. I'm not sure. Hopefully everything works out nice. And anyways, I'm very happy to have all of you as association, and very happy that we read Bhagavad-gita together. It's actually a very nice section. In the 4th chapter, reading from verse 21, and I will just read the Sanskrit once, and then I'll read the translation. Nirāśīr yata-cittātmā tyakta-sarva-parigrahaḥ śārīraṁ kevalam karma kurvan nāpnoti kilbiṣam. Translation. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. Purport. A Krishna-conscious person does not expect good or bad results in his activities. His mind and intelligence are fully controlled. He knows that because he is part and parcel of the Supreme, the part played by him as a part and parcel of the whole is not his own activity, but is only being done through him by the Supreme. When the hand moves, it does not move out of its own accord, but by the endeavor of the whole body. A Krishna-conscious person is always dovetailed with the supreme desire, for he has no desire for personal sense gratification. He moves exactly like a part of a machine. As a machine part requires oiling and cleaning for maintenance, so a Krishna-conscious man maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He is therefore immune to all the reactions of his endeavors. Like an animal, he has no proprietorship even over his own body. A cruel proprietor of an animal sometimes kills the animal in his possession, yet the animal does not protest, nor does it have any real independence. A Krishna-conscious person fully engaged in self-realization has very little time to falsely possess any material object. For maintaining body and soul, he does not require unfair means of accumulating money. He does not therefore become contaminated by such material sins. He is free from all reactions of his actions, to his actions. Amagyanatimidandasya gyananjala shalakaya chakshur amritam nina tasmai shri gurave namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, I read once more the verse. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. Yeah, so welcome once more for the Bhagavad-gita class. We are in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, and which is called Transcendental Knowledge. And it's actually a very nice chapter. In the beginning of the chapter, Krishna is explaining how he is the supreme personality of Godhead, what makes him different from other living entities, and why he therefore is so special. And then also it's explaining how who understands about who understands about his appearance and disappearance in this world, who has knowledge about this, he can go back to the spiritual abode. And furthermore, he explains that he's starting to explain about action in inaction, which is actually very interesting. There is action in inaction and inaction in action. So what does that mean? We just this was just described in the verses before, the preluding verses, or which were coming before this 21st verse. And inaction in action and action in inaction. What does it mean? It means that, and this is what a Krishna conscious person is supposed to be: active without being active, and inactive with being active. So how is that? And actually the verse today is also connected to this, because and Srila Prabhupada nicely explains this also in the purport, because here it's explained that sorry, I just have to find the verse again. And it's explained that that normally, if we are active, we become attached to our activities, and we become attached to the results of our activities. And that's actually explained that this is a disease of the material existence, that we think in the terms of I and mine, that we think I'm this body, and things connected with this bodies that belongs to me. But from the spiritual perspective, we can understand that this is a misconception, and this is actually and therefore we call it disease, because actually it's causing us problems. Because from the spiritual perspective, we can understand that we are not this body, we are eternal spirit soul, and that actually nothing belongs to this body or belongs to us in a broader sense. We can say this because practically we are a part and parcel of the Supreme. That is what Prabhupada explains in the purport, that somebody who understands himself to be the part and parcel of the Supreme, he acts actually according to his role. And therefore he understands that he's practically a part of the Supreme, and his activities are meant for to be in alliance or be in harmony with the desire of the Supreme. Doesn't mean we have no independence. We have a very small independence. And doesn't mean we have individuality. We are individuals, we have independence, we have a free will. But as long as we don't understand our dependence on the Supreme, and as long as we try to use our free will against the laws given by the Supreme, as long as this is happening, so long there will be problems in our life, practically. That is what the Bhagavad-gita teaches us. That is what Krishna teaches us. And this one problem we have is that we are active, we perform some activities, and then after performing the activities, we become attached to the result. In a nice, and this is for us, it's in the material conception, is very natural, it's actually there from the very beginning. Like, it's not something we learn when we grow up, like we learn to walk or we learn speaking or something like that, but you can see it's there from the very beginning. Like we can see, for example, children, they get a favorite toy. They cannot even speak, and still they can tell their parents that they need this toy to be happy practically. And okay, that is one kind of attachment, which then we can see also, like for example, we have a child playing in the sand on the beach, and it's building something very nicely, and of course it becomes attached, and of course it's natural also to be attached to what we do. And then somebody else comes, or the rain starts, or the sea is getting, how is it, the tide or the other thing? It's getting, the water level rises, and so this castle in the sand is destroyed, and the child becomes very becomes sad about it, and is sad about it, or becomes even angry, or whatever. Like one of my most favorite examples is with a balloon. If you sometimes you see in the pedestrian zone where all the people walk for the shopping, and where only people walk, and then sometimes some shops, they have these balloons with some helium or something inside, so that the balloon flies up, but there's a string that it doesn't fly away. So the child is very happy it got a balloon and is walking through the pedestrian zone. But then after some time, sometimes they just have some inattention, and then they don't hold it properly, the balloon, and the balloon flies away. And first the child is very, very happy about the balloon, and is so happy about life. And the next moment, like a whole world is destroyed. Like this wonderful balloon, it just flies away. And it's funny, but even if we look at this as grown-up people, we think like, oh, come on, it's just a balloon and it's nothing special. But actually, we have the same problem, maybe not with balloons, but with other things. So, and Bhagavad-gita explains that this is one of the the biggest problems we have, is this attachment to things. And especially if we work for something, if we set a goal to achieve something on a material platform, and that's natural. That's not, the Bhagavad-gita doesn't say you shouldn't do it, but the problem is we might get very much attached to what we worked for, and like destiny might have some other plans than our plans are. Krishna might have some other plans than what we had in mind, and so it might end up differently. And the more we attach to our plans, to our agenda, the more painful it is if it works out differently. And practically, therefore, the Bhagavad-gita advises us to understand the desire of the Supreme, to understand the desire of Krishna. Because it explains Krishna as a person, he is the Supreme, and he's the maintainer of everything, and he's the enjoyer of everything, he's the controller of everything, and everything works under his supervision. So if we accept that, and this is when we, if we accept that, if Bhagavad-gita teaches us that, then we can ask, okay, so what is Krishna's desire? That is practically the next question. So if he is the supreme controller, if we are meant to be there for his enjoyment, then okay, what do we do for his satisfaction? And that's actually a very intelligent question, and it's a very intelligent to work according to, or to put energy in this question, in this subject, to think about it, to use the intelligence to advance in this direction. because this tendency is still there. I mean, many of us, we are practicing Krishna consciousness for some time already, and I guess, I hope I'm not the only one. Actually, I hope I'm the only one, but I'm afraid I'm not the only one that understands that, or has the same problem, that still we are sometimes attached to certain ideas, to certain things, even though we are practicing Krishna consciousness for quite some time. And we can see some devotees, even after practicing for even longer times, still they have some attachments are attached to certain ideas. And I'm not, because practically, like this Gurudas Prabhu, it's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he very nicely wrote in his book, he wrote a book about his experience with Srila Prabhupada and his memories, and it's called Leading by Example, and which is referring to Srila Prabhupada. He was leading his disciples by his example, and in one section, Gurudas, after 10 years of practicing Krishna consciousness, he is in Vrindavan with Srila Prabhupada, and then somehow he has this realization that still he is thinking, I'm this body, and I'm the proprietor, and I'm the enjoyer, and I'm trying to, this is me and that is mine. And so we might still have this after many years. And so what to do? And Srila Prabhupada explains this in this purport very nicely, that we just have to we have to practically we just have to use our intelligence, and we have to practically change our viewpoint and just take the position of the humble servant of Krishna. And practically we have to pray to understand the desires of Krishna, and which also means in our individual basis, because we know some desires of Krishna. We know Krishna, he likes butter, and he likes the cows, and these things. He likes flower garlands, and he likes a certain way how to offer. And there's practically this, also what we learn in the sadhana bhakti. There's certain elements which we understand Krishna likes this, and we do these things to do things according to the desire of Krishna. But of course, on the individual basis, and this is practically for all of us the same. Yeah? For all of us, we chant Hare Krishna, we read from the Bhagavad-gita and Krishna book, and we associate with devotees and all these things. But then, of course, we have our life, we have our karma practically. We have a certain body, we are in a certain situation. This is according to our karma. And so, since we are, and this is individual, yeah. Some are in a male body, some are female bodies, some are very inclined for studying, and others are more inclined for working and these things. But also, like then we face different situations, and so we always can ask ourselves, like, what is the role Krishna wants me to play now? What should I do to satisfy Krishna? And which means and of course there's also two elements. There's two levels. On one level is, like, of course, that we are certainly are like sorry, I'm just searching for the English word. Just by without plan, we just certainly end up in a certain situation, and then we can, of course, see, okay, what to do now and how to act in a Krishna conscious basis. But also we can try to make a plan for our life. Of course, there's this saying, if you want to make Krishna laughing, then you tell him your plans. But also it's said, like, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, which means we should have some certain plant some certain ideas, like what can we do to make our life, to have Krishna in our life, practically, to get this Krishna conscious mindset, to become Krishna conscious, practically. And yeah, that is the other aspect of that. And yeah, we should do that. But we also have to pray to Krishna, and that's actually what we're doing when we chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said that if we chant Hare Krishna, we are saying, "Dear Radha, dear Krishna, please engage me in your service." And that's actually a very powerful meaning if we think about it, because it really, if we see our struggles in spiritual life, and if we look at this prayer, then we can see that actually all these struggles we can overcome by just this prayer. Like, if we don't know what to do, we can always ask, "Dear Radha, dear Krishna, please engage me in your service." If we are dissatisfied with the situation, we can use the same prayer. And the wonderful thing is that Krishna really reciprocates. It's not just some imagination or some mind technique to overcome our depression and to become more positive. But no, it's really like, if we sincerely have this prayer, we really ask Krishna for help. He is helping us. Like the Bible also states something similar, like, "So those who knock, I will open," or something like that. I'm not really a Bible expert, but I heard something like this. And so this is actually, and that's actually part of our process. That's actually part of becoming Krishna conscious. Because, like, if we see the two extremes, like the devotee and the conditioned soul, like the devotee, he's totally depending on Krishna. He's always inquiring from Krishna. He's always taking shelter of Krishna. He's always referring to Krishna. And the non-devotee, or in the conditioned state, we are more like the conditioned state is like, we don't see Krishna. We don't believe that Krishna can protect us. We don't have the faith that Krishna is our friend. We try to do things according to the ideas we have, how things should be done, or how we could improve. We try in this way. We try to find solutions, or we try to implement things in our life, and so we can see this is practically the opposite. Like as a devotee, we're always taking shelter of Krishna, and non-devotee, as in conditioned state, we are practically disconnected from Krishna. And this happens even to us when we are practicing Krishna consciousness. It is not like something which is just a matter of, some people have this idea, religion is just, you have to once say, "I'm a Christian," or "I'm a Hare Krishna, and since now I'm a Hare Krishna, and now I'm a good person." But this is not the meaning of spiritual life. And spiritual life is to progress, and the personality develops. That because we are persons, we are spiritual persons. Krishna is a person, and in spiritual life, the goal is to develop our spiritual consciousness.
You were just muted. We could not hear the last sentence. I don't know
Yeah,
why, but
it said host has muted me, but somebody said, anyways.
that was not intentional if I did it.
Yeah, okay. What was my last sentence I said, because I don't remember what Karuna Shakti, you remember?
I don't remember either, sorry, I was just confused.
The goal in the spiritual life is to change the consciousness, you said last.
Yeah, so to have this spiritual consciousness, because this material consciousness, if we like logically analyze it, we can understand it's not really having a good, it's not a really good deal, huh? This material consciousness, okay, this whole life is just happened by chance, like it's actually just some fault that we are existing at all. And so it means actually we are also like, we just live once, and after that everything is finished, and whatever you do in this life, it doesn't have any consequence, it doesn't have any meaning. This is actually not a very positive attitude towards life. It's not actually very satisfying. And whereas the spiritual life explains we are eternal living entities, we are a personality, and we are actually individual, which means like there's no one and nothing, like we are ourselves, we are special. But doesn't mean we are the best, but we are special, like we are unique, which is actually a very nice quality. Like everybody appreciates this, that he's unique. Everybody knows that he's unique, and everybody wants to be unique. And so this has to be appreciated. And Krishna is appreciating it, and he's like very happy about it. He actually created us like this because he wanted it to be like this. So, and yeah, spiritual consciousness means to understand that that I'm a spirit soul, and there is Krishna as a spiritual father, and he's my well-wisher. He's like really my well-wisher. There's somebody who is my well-wisher. Like even in marriage life, sometimes normally marriage has to be a fortress. It's explained in the Bhagavatam, should be like a fortress. But then we can see like sometimes people in marriage life, they don't feel like my spouse is my well-wisher, or is not really supporting me. And okay, we might also feel sometimes like this with Krishna. But Krishna, he wants our spiritual personality to grow. So growing means there has to be also some challenges. We have to see our defaults, and we have to we have to recognize them, and sometimes somebody has to show them to us. And that is the spiritual consciousness, and that is practically what is part of the process. So before I was explaining that there's a devotee who's always in this consciousness, who always understands Krishna as my well-wisher, and then there is a non-devotee who always thinks differently, and we are somewhere in between, and kind of lost somewhere in between. But don't worry, we got this nice opportunities to meet on Zoom, and we have the nice opportunities to listen to kirtans and to chant on the japa and to practice Krishna consciousness. And in that way we can easily get more and more faith, and more because it's about faith, no? Like Kadambakhananda Swami, he gives this, he says, to lose the faith in the material nature. Like we can see, like people have so much faith trying to get satisfaction or help from the material nature. And of course it's not bad, if it's raining, it's good to put a shelf on over your head, and if you are ill, it's good to take the advice of the doctor, and these things, that's good. We are not against that. But if we don't have the spiritual perspective, then it becomes the only thing, and then actually this becomes painful, because actually one thing is for sure, and that is death. I think we can quarrel about many things, and we can have many opinions about many things, and our world is like this, but nobody will start to argue that one day we have to die. Okay, we argue that, we say we don't have to die, but we have to leave this body. That's what we say. We have to leave this body and we go somewhere else. And that is also very interesting what the Bhagavad-gita says, because in this word explains about this, the words we read today, it's explaining about the sense of proprietorship over his possessions. So the Bhagavad-gita explains, if we think ourselves to be proprietor or are attached to certain possessions and to certain things, then this attachment actually will create our next body. And actually our mind forms the next body, which is explained in the Vedas. And therefore actually the verse today, it explains, thus working. So the verse says, with intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. So this is interesting. So the practically this means that if we work for Krishna, if we play the role in Krishna's play, which how Prabhupada described it in the purport, then we will not accumulate any sinful reactions. And this means even though we are working, and Prabhupada also explained, it might look actually the same, like as a person in Krishna consciousness, he might be a banker, or he might be working in a supermarket, or a doctor, or whatever. We have all these people who have different jobs and who follow this path of Krishna consciousness, and it looks totally the same. But since he's a Krishna conscious person, is offering his results to Krishna, and is also dovetailing his activities in the service of Krishna, then he's not affected by the reactions. And actually this example of Srila Prabhupada is actually very nice. Like with the hand, he says, when the hand moves, it does according to the will of the body. And that is, everybody, I mean, we know this, huh? We have our hand and we don't really think about it. If we want to drink something, we just grab the bottle, the hand goes to the bottle, and we don't like prepare like, and I want to drink soon, so I have to prepare my hand that after in 5 minutes we will have to get for the water bottle. No, it just automatically moves there. And so it's perfectly aligned with our desires practically. Like the body moving. Of course, not everything works perfectly according to our desires in the body. And of course, it there's some distractions, but in general, we can see. And it's actually a wonderful example. Therefore, the hand is actually happy. Prabhupada says also, if we want to be happy, we just have to connect with Krishna. So the hand is not connected with the body. It's useless. And it will not become happy. And so in the same way, it's explained, like if we want ourselves to be happy, if we connect with Krishna, we don't have to stop our activities. We can stay an individual living entity. We still are unique. And actually, Krishna is our well-wisher. So actually, and it's explained like this spiritual bliss or bliss in Krishna consciousness, it's compared to the ocean, whereas the satisfaction of the material world is compared to a drop of water in the desert. So what is the comparison? This is practically no comparison. What is the use of a drop of water in the desert? It doesn't really help. And yeah, how can we understand the greatness of the ocean? You know, if we stand in front of the ocean, like it's so unlimited, it's so overwhelming, practically. And that is what the Vedas explain. And the wonderful thing is, it's not just that we have to blindly believe these things, but by practicing this Krishna consciousness and by trying to understand our role and trying to understand the desires Krishna has and starting to act on that, we will get a lot of satisfaction. We can experience it. And the other thing is also we will lose fear from the material nature, because actually there's is not something natural for the soul, but this is connected to our body, which is to our false identity. And so practically we can give up our the more we progress in spiritual life, we can give up this false identity, which means, like, once more, to to emphasize this once more, which doesn't mean we stop working, which doesn't mean we are not active in this world. We are active in this world, and there are devotees who were very active and very productive in this world. Like, one example is Bhaktivedanta Thakur, who was a judge and administrator for the British government, and who was such an expert judge who could solve all these cases very quickly. So, and actually was very much favored. And so, because he was so productive practically, and he had such good solutions for the problems. And of course there's many other things, and like we heard also in this fourth chapter, Chaturvanya Maya System Guna Kama Vibhaga Shaha, which means that that we have, according to our karma, we have certain tendencies, we have a certain nature, and it is good if we follow these tendencies and natures, because this is made by Krishna, and this is actually also on the material basis. If somebody is like into intellectual things, it's good if he deals with intellectual things, and if somebody is likes to work hard, then it's good for him to work hard and to follow these tendencies, but to dovetail everything with Krishna. So now you can see also our cat, or the cat of my father. It's called Findus. And oh, now it's gone. So let's this is, I think it's a very practically it's an essential part of Krishna consciousness to always ask Krishna and to pray for Krishna's guidance. And actually this is mercy. It's not something ordinary. It's not something we of course, on one hand, we can say it's something we deserve, because we are children of Krishna. So Krishna is our father, our well-wisher. So in one sense, there's this connection, and we deserve it. But on the other hand, it was us who turned the back towards Krishna, and it's us who would still do it many times. So it's not something ordinary, or it's not it's not that we deserve it, that we get this mercy, or that we have this taste for spiritual life, or that we are engaged in Krishna's service instead of in the service of the material nature. So we have to pray for that. We have to ask for that. It's not that it comes just by like this, but if we ask for it, then it comes. And if we have to ask this from the heart. That is the thing. Like we tend to do things automatically, like we chant our rounds sometimes automatically, or we have certain we cook sometimes or offer the food to Krishna, and automatically, and our attention goes somewhere else. But of course, the more we have our attention in these activities, and the more we really dovetail our consciousness with Krishna, the more we really get some taste, and the more Krishna reciprocates also. And yeah, so therefore I'm very happy that today I was here with all of you. And if there's some questions or comments, we have time for that now. And I don't know, how do we do it? We write it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself.
Yes, exactly. You can unmute yourselves by clicking on the microphone icon in the bottom left corner of your screen somewhere. I don't know how you see me, but in the corner of your screen there is a little microphone symbol icon, and you click on that to unmute yourselves, and you can just speak away, or you can also type into the chat box if you are too shy for that. So maybe some of you have a question.
I have one question for Vinuya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Jay Nitai
Krishna.
Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. I'm so glad that you talked about this topic today. It's very important for me, because you know that there's a new period in my life stands before me, and I really want to know how I can serve according to Krishna's wishes and not at my personal agenda. What the next steps will be. My question is about attachment. In the last years, I had almost association with non-devotees, and if you are a devotee, it is more natural that you feel more attraction to devotees than to non-devotees. How is it when you are more together with devotees, that we still have the love for, or developing the love for Krishna in the forefront, in the center, instead the relationships between the devotees? I see. Is there a little danger that you become too attached to the devotees and maybe love the other devotee more than Krishna? I'm totally unexperienced with this, but I feel this question, and maybe you have some experience that you can explain me something about this.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. I think you don't have to worry. I think like there's certain aspects, like, of course, if we appreciate devotees, if we appreciate the association of devotees, then practically we appreciate Krishna also, because devotees follow the culture Krishna explains or sets, and devotees have love for Krishna, and therefore they are attractive, and devotees act in certain ways and worship Krishna, and therefore we might appreciate them. So this is everything very good. That's no worry. And of course, it might be that we still are envious on Krishna or something, or it might happen that sometimes we see people coming to the temple, for example, and they like very much the association of devotees, but they don't want to be a devotee themselves. Yeah, that happens. I don't think that's the case in your case and in one of us, but sometimes this happens, and yeah, but then those people, they always find some reasons why they somehow don't like the devotees anymore, or they find a reason why they want to become devotees themselves. And I mean, the other thing is, if you like really live together with devotees in a community. Actually, I was just having some exchange with a good friend of mine, Advaita Simha Prabhu from Simhachalam. And actually, because he's in Simhachalam, he was before in Cape Town. His wife is a doctor, and she was working there in Cape Town, and they had their own flat somewhere outside. And now they live in Simhachalam in the temple. So before they were not so much in the association of devotees, and now they are very much. And I explained to him, yeah, I'm actually happy for you that you are now having this association. And he said, yeah, of course, it's very nice, but it's also purifying. So, because you said like, that one might be enjoying too much, but if you then live in the community, sometimes it might become also a little bit intense or difficult. So, and so in the end, you always have to turn to Krishna. And that's actually my own experience. I also lived for some time in a devotee association, and I'm still living in a devotee association with my wife. And my experience is that I have to, it's in all relationships. We have to see Krishna practically. That's the only way how to be happy and be active. That's my personal conclusion. That's what I understand from the teachings of the Bhagavad-gita and from Srila Prabhupada and from what we learn in this movement. And so I don't see the danger that you... it's not possible, I think, to stay a long time with devotees and then just forget Krishna. I think that's, or not develop love for Krishna. I think that's, and it's Rupa Goswami, like he in the Nectar of Devotion, he's saying about these 5 most powerful things, angas, parts of devotional service, and one of them is sadhu sangha, so the association with devotees. Yeah, you still have I don't know if it's, I think you have to change it, but there's still written Bhakti in Franca. But you have a new
Yes,
name.
you know, it is still a secret at my place, but not at all a secret. And if I don't know if somebody from my place is in the Zoom call or not, that's why I wrote Bhakti in Franca.
Okay.
But now here is, yes, but with the internet, nothing is a secret.
And I'm very happy actually that you got an initiation.
Yes,
I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, and I'm really happy about this too. But I think my emotional world is changing really. I have feelings now I'd never had before, and that's why the question how to deal with this, and the difference between love and love for Krishna, or love for other people. This is a little confusing for me right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, a devotee, he loves everyone. Yeah. Not only the devotees, he even loves all living entities, and seeing them as part and parcels of Krishna, and loving them, respecting them. Okay, we have one more question from Shumit Prabhuji. Okay, I will read it because it's here in the chat box. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance. I accept Krishna's plans. He knows what is better for me. How can I purify my consciousness to keep firm faith on Krishna's plans? And how can I serve him more and more with love in whatever situation I am in? And that's of course a dangerous prayer also. I have one friend, and he was in Mayapur, and there's this form of Nrsimhadev, the Ugra Nrsimha, when Nrsimhadev is very angry. And then he was listening to this lecture. One devotee gave a lecture there in Mayapur, and he said, if you really want to make progress in spiritual life, you should go before Nrsimhadev and pray for purification. And that's what he did. And then I don't remember what exactly happened, but something really, something in his life happened which he didn't expect, of course, and where he he had to really get some purification, or like get like, anyways. So, but of course, in the end, we want to become purified. We understand that we want to keep firm faith in Krishna's plans. And actually, I wondered, like, I read this book which is called Salted Bread. It is a book about the Krishna consciousness movement in Russia before the Iron Curtain fell. Fell. I understood just from seeing Karuna Shakti's mouse. Fell. So it's actually a very inspiring book. If you don't know what to read this book. It's a very interesting story, and it's like amazing actually. And so, and I was wondering, because these devotees, they had to take so much struggle, and and they took this for Krishna also. And I was wondering, how could Krishna, like some died, they went to some concentration labor camps and they died. And I was wondering, like, how could Krishna let this happen, like he's a well-wisher. But somehow what satisfied me, like one time I had this idea, okay, they were really ready for it, they were really this was just what they wanted and needed practically. And they did a lot of service in that way also, because just, I mean, it's I mean, like Prahlad, it's also a lila, yeah? And it's a lila in Krishna's pastimes, and we accept that. And I always thought, like, I couldn't do that, and I wouldn't do that, but Krishna also doesn't want me to do it. That's also very important to understand. Yeah? He doesn't put me in such a situation, and so yeah, I think Krishna, he will send us situations for purification. That's just to come back to your question, because you might think, well, why is explaining about that? But yeah, how can I serve him more with more love in whatever situation? And yeah, you just pray for Krishna to serve him. And I mean, we are attached to comforts in material life. That's because we are attached to this body, and that is practically sometimes our problem also, because spiritual life means also tapasya. But it's also okay. It's not like we have to take some things which we actually don't want to do, which we don't desire to do. We don't have to become like superheroes in spiritual life, even though it's not natural for us. So we can practice our Krishna consciousness and always take shelter in Krishna in all our situations. We focus and ask Krishna for help, and yeah, he will help us. And of course, we can also reflect, like sometimes, because you said more faith in Krishna's plan. So then we might have to ask, like, why do I don't have faith in Krishna's plans? And the answer might be because I'm too attached to my plan, because Krishna maybe wants me to do this, and might be, but I'm actually thinking I want to do that. And so this might also be like a problem for us, that or this might one thing we could do in such a situation, like reflect, like, what am I attached to a certain plan? And sometimes we are attached and we cannot even give it up. That's reality. I mean, if we look at our own lives or in others devotees' lives, we can see sometimes devotees also might understand this is not Krishna's plan, but it's a certain desire of myself, like whatever I want to have this certain whatever gadget, can buy so many things in the internet, and I'm so attached to having it, or I want to this preparation for Krishna. and then some other devotees come to us and say, wouldn't you like to cook this and that for Krishna? And we might still be attached to our plan and not being open for Krishna's suggestions. Doesn't mean like always a devotee asks us for a certain thing to cook that it's Krishna's plan, but yeah, in general, this it's sometimes difficult to understand also what is Krishna's plans. There's certain things which are very easy to understand, and other things it's very difficult to understand. Is it Krishna's plan that I study or that I do this or that? And is it Krishna's plan that I go to the program or to this program? Or sometimes very difficult. And then we have to see also our own desires. And we can of course ask our some spiritual guides for some feedback or some guidance. And so sometimes it's also difficult to understand what is Krishna's plan, but it's one thing we should be sure: Krishna has a plan for us, and we should desire to more and more have faith in this plan of Krishna and endeavor to satisfy Krishna. This will bring us a lot of happiness. But it's not, on the other hand, it's also not like actually our process is so easy, you know. If we just meet like this on Zoom, if we chant our rounds, if we read Bhagavad-gita, if we do these things, then surely enough we are on the safe side. We follow the principles, we read Bhagavad-gita, we chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds, we read the books, we meet the devotees, we work on our qualities. We are on the safe side, and it's actually Krishna might not be, maybe he has a plan that we could be like become a big farmer and take care of cows. But if on the other hand we start to study and still practice Krishna consciousness and support the temple or invite devotees to our place or support the family in a Krishna conscious manner, then still it's Krishna is happy with that. And it's not like then he says no. And I think it's more in the small things that we have to learn to give up. Sometimes we are attached to very small things. Like one thing I read today, that the fuel is getting more expensive. Fuel will get more expensive, and you know I'm traveling a lot, and for me it hurts really. You know, I don't know for you it doesn't matter maybe at all, and I think and I can see I'm attached, and I think like fuel has to be less expensive for being Krishna conscious, but this is a misconception. Okay, now it's 8:04, and I wish you all the best for the how you say in English actually, for the guten Rutsch ins neue Jahr, a good slide into the new year.
I don't think it works like that, but we wish you a happy new year, maybe? I don't know.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Yeah, I wish you all the best, and I hope next year we can meet again also physically. Would be very happy. And I'm very happy for everybody who joined today and in general is joining this Zoom meetings. I think it's very important that we still are connected in that way. And yeah, let's see what we can do in 2021 for Krishna. Let's see what his plans are for the world and for us. And but one thing is for sure, he is our well-wisher, and whatever happens, it's good for our spiritual life. We can take more shelter in any circumstances. And yeah, Hare Krishna. Karuna Shakti, you want to say something in conclusion? Or?
Yes, thank you very much, Jay Nitai Prabhu. That was a nice lecture, as was a great lecture. Vinuya Mataji just wrote it into the chat. Great lecture, and 3 exclamation marks. So yes, I can also confirm that. I really liked it. It was a very nice lecture. Nice Q&A also. Thank you very much. And with that, we conclude this evening. We conclude the year 2020. If we have learned one thing in this year, it's how to use Zoom, at least to some extent. We're still learning, and as Zoom keeps getting more popular, there are more and more features, and we have to keep up with that. So if there are some glitches sometimes in between, please bear with us. Zoom is not getting easier for us to handle because, yeah, people have more and more expectations. So Zoom keeps adding on more and more stuff. And yeah, that is my weekly challenge when I open up Zoom and see all those screens and participants and whatever, how to handle that and all the wiring and microphone and camera and screens and whatever.
You do a great job.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're all grateful to have the association of each other, to see other people, or at least to know there are other people who are joining us, and we are not alone. So that already is that also passive participation in the program or in the Zoom lecture is appreciated. And we hope to see you again throughout the year 2021 in whichever form, be it on Zoom or be it elsewhere. The next time will be next Wednesday. We will have Drakadish Prabhu, who will be speaking to us from the text 22 of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. And with that, I conclude the evening. Thank you very much and have a good night. And we wish you a happy new year. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.